First story is titled, Updated. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to share a room with stepbrother anymore after he came out? Original story. My dad got married over a year ago. His wife moved in with her son, who's the same age as me, 16. It's a 2-bedroom house, so Steven moved into my room too. It didn't bother me before because I was mostly with my mom, and my dad only on weekends. My mom got called out of state for work, and she's not gonna be back for months. So I'm now with him full-time. I've met Steven a few times, but now being here all the time, I notice weird stuff. There's a bathroom in my room, and he literally gets out naked every single time, even when I was already in the room before he went in. I always tell him what the heck, and he says sorry but always does it. Now, I just leave the room when he showers. When I play video games, he'll come sit right next to me, and we're pressed right against each other. There's more space on the couch, so it bothers me that he does that. Other times, he'll be talking to me and put his right hand on my lap, but like not move it. I don't know. It's weird for me because I don't like being touched, but he's always super touchy with me, no matter how many times I tell him I hate it. What's made it real uncomfortable is when I change for something in the room. He straight up watches me and creeps me out. So now I go do that in the bathroom too. It's always weird when he's around, and I just don't like it. And he always wants to be around me. Then he came out 2 months ago, and now some stuff makes sense. It's more awkward because I feel like he's into me or something. Still stares if he comes in when I'm changing my clothes but acts like he wasn't. Gets naked around me when he's changing. So I told my dad I don't want to share my room with him anymore and said why. My dad doesn't think it's wrong the way he is, but let me turn the basement downstairs into my own room when I ask him. It was a TV room we never used, and it had lots of space for my bed and all my other stuff. Steven's mad now that I don't want to share a room with him. He says I'm being homophobic because what a coincidence I'm only doing it now after he came out. His mom is mad too and thinks I'm overreacting because boys change in locker rooms together all the time, so that shouldn't make me uncomfortable. She also says that I'm being weird only because he's gay. But I don't know, I was always uncomfortable in locker rooms too. And plus, he straight up walks around naked in front of me, which I don't like. It's tense at home with them both saying I'm being homophobic, and Steven says I'm hurting his feelings not wanting to share that space anymore. I didn't like any of the stuff he was doing even before he came out, but now I just swear I was fed up with it. Knowing that he's gay just made me start to wonder if it was all being done on purpose. So, I don't know, am I being an a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not an a-hole, and shouldn't have anything to do with him being gay. You've set your boundaries, and he keeps knowingly and willingly crossing them. If your parents won't do anything about it, then start using the phrase actual harassment, because that is literally what it is. Get a teacher or counselor involved too. You aren't being homophobic at all. What he's doing is straight up harassment, and that touching you without your consent is a violation. Sit the whole family down and explain in great detail what he's been doing and then call it what it is: harassment and assault. Tell them you were making excuses for him before he came out, but now that he's out, it's become clear what he's doing, and it's completely unacceptable. Tell them that you've moved out of the room and that's that. You don't want to hear any more crap about it. If they can't accept it, and if he continues doing the same thing to you, you will escalate by calling your mother and telling the school counselor. It sounds like going nuclear, but don't pussyfoot around these violations. You don't want it to get normalized in your home. Not at a-hole. Piggybacking on this, I would bring up anything about before or after the kid came out. It would still be harassment even if the stepbrother wasn't gay. It's weird and creepy, gay or straight. Not at a-hole. Not wanting to be touched against your will, not wanting to see someone naked, not wanting to be watched while you're dressed, equals perfectly reasonable, universal desires, not homophobia. If you were a girl, he'd be seen as a creep 100%. His behavior is creepy, and you've tolerated it way longer than you should have had to. Not at a-hole. You were uncomfortable with his behavior. It is better to allow you to have your own space than to try and make this a homophobia issue. Most everyone would be weirded out by someone just being openly nude in front of them, regardless. The incompatibility in comfort levels is a reason in and of itself. True, and it sucks the way the mom responded about locker rooms. It's a completely different situation. Even if he wasn't gay, it's still straight up harassment to touch people's laps and expose yourself to them without consent. And now for the update. Okay, I know it hasn't been that long, but crap kinda hit the fan this week. So thanks everyone for supporting me through this, because I felt like I was losing it, with everyone at home making me feel like crap. It helped a lot that people understood what I was dealing with and didn't make me feel bad for feeling the way I do. Some comments were saying I needed to tell my mom about what was going on since she didn't know, even though I felt bad about it. So, a day after I posted, I told her. First about the way Steven was acting with me, and then how they were all giving me crap about being phobic since I decided to move out of my room after he came out. She was pissed the hell off. She told me to put my dad on, and I could hear her yelling at him from the phone when I gave it to him. My dad wasn't happy, and they were arguing for like a half hour. But he said he was sorry for not really doing much for me about Steven, and my mom says she doesn't want me there because of Steven. And also, she doesn't like that I'm sleeping in the basement and doesn't know if it's even safe for me down there since it's an old basement. My mom told me she wants me over there with her, but only if I want to. School is online, and I don't see any of my friends anyway, so it wouldn't be a big deal if I stayed with her. I talked to my dad, and then to my mom. He was mad that I wanted to go with her, but he didn't tell me anything else. She drove all the way back here and picked me up on Thursday. Been here at the hotel she's staying at since Friday. It's more chill, to be honest. I'm here alone most of the time since my mom has to work all day, so I like the privacy. I've talked to my dad, and he says they're gonna talk to Steven. I don't know how that's gonna go when my stepmom was still all defensive about him when I left. We'll see, I guess. I don't know for how long we'll be here. I think another 2 to 3 months, but at least I'm not there at my dad's right now with all those uncomfortable vibes. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Since everyone was really helpful about what I should do and how I don't need to be dealing with that crap. I'm so happy your mom was totally on your side. She needs a huge hug for being super mom for her son. I'm glad you told your mom and was able to leave because your first post made my stomach turn, because you were being violated in your own home. This update is amazing, and you have a fantastic mother. Talk to your dad and try to tell him you still love him, but him not defending you is what made you want to leave. That was a good mama bear right there. Wow, that Steven guy sure is weird. I wouldn't blame you for wanting to get away from him, and I'm gay myself. Yeah, from reading both posts, being gay has nothing to do with it really. People should just respect boundaries. Good update. Glad to hear you got away from that situation. I don't know what country you're in, but I would guess that 16 is old enough to legally stay at your mom's if you want to. Personally, I wouldn't feel comfortable going back into that mess for a long time, and that's assuming your dad has an epiphany and realizes how severely he has failed as a father. Keep in mind that if you do ever want to see your dad, you can make plans to go out and do things with him without actually being at his house, and without Steven being around. Well, post-COVID anyway. It wasn't a custody thing. It's because my mom had to work out of the state for a few months, and so I stayed with my dad full-time until she got back. My parents are talking about what to do when we get back though, because she doesn't want me around Steven at all, so I guess see how that goes. Don't want to go back to that house either. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sisters her feelings don't matter more than the kids? So hear me out. My 40 female, sister 32 female, is a stepmom. She married her husband 6 years ago. They met 2 months after her husband's first wife died and had a very quick relationship, 14 months from meeting to marriage. He had 3 kids with his first wife, 13 male, 12 male, and 9 female. My sister has always wanted to be a mother, but is unable to get pregnant, and when she met her husband, she told everyone who could listen that this was God's way of making her a mother, and to quote her, to kids who really need one. So she stepped in and expected them to start calling her mom within a year. And when it didn't happen, she was disappointed. She wanted to adopt them, and they said no. She and her husband put them into therapy, and she broke down 2.5 years into their marriage when the boys said she would never be their mom. When her stepdaughter eventually told her she didn't want to call her mommy ever, she started complaining all the time to her mom and our dad about it. About how she didn't know what to do, and she would ask her mom, my stepmother through the same circumstances, for advice. And she would try what her mom suggested, but it was never working. Last year, during lockdown, the kids asked to go live with their grandparents because they said they hated being stuck with my sister all day and they wanted to be with family. They got more therapy. My sister decided to try and proceed with adopting them without their consent because, in her mind, maybe they would accept her more if she showed them how far she would go for them. It did not work. The adoption did not happen, and the kids all hate her. Then she came to me and started complaining and asking why I never wanted to help or give her advice. I told her I did not think she would like my advice. She said she wanted me to give it, that I know what it's like. She asked how did her mom win me over and earn the place of my second mom. I told her she hadn't, that she had wanted it, sure, but she wasn't my mom anymore, that she, sister, was the kid's mom. She said that wasn't fair, and I told her the only time a step-parent can truly win the title is when they put the kids first and accept their boundaries. She protested about her feelings, and I told her that her feelings don't matter more than the kids. They have to be put first, and if their need is for her to just be stepmom, then she should be focusing on being the best stepmom she can be, and less in following her dream to motherhood. She went nuts, told me I was insensitive and a judgmental witch, and that I was cruel to her and her mom, and I'm dead wrong. I have to ask myself if I handled it poorly, which is why I'm here. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your sister needed a wake-up call, and hopefully what you told her do that. She's doing some serious boundary crossing. And you're right, her feelings don't matter in this. How does she not see that the harder you push, the further they pull back? Also, where is the dad in all this? Why hasn't he stepped in and told her to stop? He supports her in everything she has been doing. He wants the kids to consider her their mom too. Those kids are going to go low/no contact the second they're old enough. They're being smothered, having their feelings invalidated, and have been told through action they're expected to forget their dead mother ever existed and accept this overbearing and needy person in her place. She'll never be accepted as a parent figure because she is loving these kids unconditionally, and there's probably too much damage already done by trying to force things for that to ever happen. She sees these kids as means to an end. It's incredibly selfish. Opie did nothing wrong. In fact, they did everything right. Don't ask a question and insist on an answer when you've been warned you won't like what someone has to say. Not Dayhall. Not Dayhall. She hoped for you to agree with her ways of pushing her stepchildren's clear boundaries. By forcing the adoption, your sister might have burned every bridge for her to be a parent figure someday. And it's not the stepchildren's duty to fulfill her wishes of being a mother. This is something she never understood, and I in part blame her parents for that. I think it goes back to my relationship with her mom and her lack of understanding about how different her mom and I see the relationship between us, as well as what a stepchild owes a step-parent, for want a better way to put it. Like, yes, they are owed the same respect and courtesy of any adult, but they seem to feel like love is owed too. I think the children will have a hard time respecting both the father and your sister. Imagine your mom dying and 2 months later, your dad starts dating again. And on top of that, your sister trying to force herself into the position of the mother. I bet the children didn't have a real opportunity to grieve for their mother and resent your sister even more for her behavior. That would be my guess. The boys probably even resent her more again because they tried to get to their sister because she was much younger and wouldn't have any of her own memories of their mom. So to them, it would look even more like my sister was swooping in to raise the mom they loved so much. It sucks because I know how that can feel. And I know what it's like to have it assumed you will feel a certain way because you don't remember the deceased parent. The last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for an expensive dress which was ruined at my wedding? My father-in-law is a dirtbag who ended his 23-year marriage with a text and moved in with my mother-in-law's best friend since college while mother-in-law was on a trip. I'm going to call the friend Shauna, and her and father-in-law are married now. Very unhappily, and it is a huge crap show. Stealing father-in-law wasn't enough, and Shauna went on a smear campaign and told everyone stuff mother-in-law had told her in confidence. Mother-in-law hates them for valid reasons, but I have tried to tell her the best revenge is living well. She just got engaged to someone who treats her like a princess and has real money. Father-in-law has become a gambling addict, and him and Shanna are screwed. But there is still a lot of anger. I probably messed up by sitting them together at the wedding, but mother-in-law's fiancé accidentally knocked his entire glass of wine onto Shanna's lap. I'm pretty sure he did it on purpose, And I do think it was needlessly immature, but not a problem. The dress cost $1,500, and the stain will not come out. Shanna asked me to pay for it, and I refused. She cried and said the dress was important, and she just wanted to feel special and beautiful. I told her to take it up with a fiancé, but she said he would just tell her to bug off. She was really distraught and said since it was my wedding, so it is my responsibility, and that I should have done something when she was humiliated. As of right now, I am refusing to pay. Not an a-hole for not paying for the dress. It was at your wedding is stupid logic. You didn't spill the wine. However, kinda you're the a-hole for sitting them together. It's not exactly shocking that something like this happened. You put 4 people with a lot of history and anger together at a table. Why did you think this was a good idea? Probably figured they could all be adults and ignore each other for their adult kid. I wonder if they were trying to avoid a who got the better table argument. Not an a-hole for refusing to pay for the dress, but yeah, you messed up big time sitting them together. I can't even begin to understand why you would have done that, unless you were hoping for drama. My husband was trying to avoid drama with his dad. Father-in-law demanded to sit with her. I don't think you are responsible for paying for the dress, but you have to see that sitting them together was giving in to father-in-law's desire for drama, not avoiding it. You do not sit divorced couples together at a wedding, unless they're incredibly amicable. Not an a-hole for the dress. But what in the world makes you hate your mother-in-law that much that you sit her next to a former friend who did that to her? Major you're the a-hole for the sitting arrangement. I don't hate her. Father-in-law demanded to sit with her, and I wish I put my foot down. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.